In the first quarter of 2024, the Malaysian economy expanded by a higher rate of 4.2%. This was supported by higher household spending, export turnaround, and higher tourist arrivals, improving labour market conditions, and stronger investment activities. On a seasonal adjusted quarter-on-quarter basis, GDP showed a stronger growth momentum of 1.4%, higher than the decrease of 1.0% in the fourth quarter of 2023. On expenditure side, expansion in domestic demand was driven mainly by private sector spending. Private consumption recorded higher growth, supported by spending in discretionary and necessity items. Growth in investment reflects improvement in structure and M&E investment, as well as continued fixed asset spending by government and public corporations. Meanwhile, net export registered a smaller contraction and recovering goods and services export. On the supply side, most sectors recorded highest growth. Growth in the service sector was driven by higher retail trade activities and continued support from transport and storage subsector. Meanwhile, the manufacturing sector turned around to record positive growth following the improvement in the E&E and the primary related clusters. Highest growth in the construction sector was driven by the faster progress in civil engineering projects and stronger support from special trade and residential activities. Growth in the mining sectors was supported by higher natural gas output. However, the agriculture sector recorded a more moderate growth, particularly for production of rubber and food crops amid hot weather conditions. In addition to the release, Department of Statistics Malaysia also published annual GDP report for the year 2023, which encompasses the revision of GDP data for the year 2021, 2022, and 2023 at the rate of 3.3%, 8.9%, and 3.6% respectively. The revision is based on the update of the company annual reports, the annual surveillance survey 2021 and economic census 2022, as well as a secondary data by the relevant agency.